What's up, guys? Welcome back to Pilot School. This week's episode is going to be a little bit different. So we've been getting a lot of questions lately, a lot of requests for things. We really wanted to answer those questions and answer the request. So a lot of people have been seeing gameplay footage or videos of us lately, either on Nova channel or some of our members' channels of us with colored jets. And everyone's been getting psyched, asking us like, how do you color your jet? I want to learn how to do that. I want a colored jet. And the credit goes to Weasel B. We were doing this for the longest time and not knowing how it was happening. We didn't know like what was making it happen. I'm sure some other people somewhere have stumbled across the exact same thing and they too had no idea like how it was happening. And then Weasel B one day figured out exactly what it is that makes it happen so we could start doing it on command. It's really awesome. Definitely a lot of fun, you know, to play with colored jets. You can start working the montages. No one can really diss on it because it's not like you're cheating to do like the dogfight or the stunt or the deathmatch, whatever you're doing. You're just coloring your jet for show. So we're going to be teaching you guys how to do that, and then I'm going to be answering a bunch of questions that are constantly being asked that I see in comments or on Skype or on Kick. I'm just going to go through them and answer some of the most commonly asked ones. So let's get into it. Alright, so in order to do this, all you're going to need is a capture. Now, right away, I know some of you are probably thinking like, well, I want the color jet in an open lobby. I want to surprise people. Don't worry about it. It's not really going to impress anyone anyways. They're just going to assume you're modding and blow it off anyways. So really, if you just want a dogfight, you want to stunt, you want to do a deathmatch, all you got to do is put the setup in a capture and then do it there. So we're going to put a couple links if you're on PS4 for some of our captures in the description, so you can just go use those if you want. But if you don't have access to a PS4 to get our captures, then if you want to make your own, all you got to do is follow these steps. So you're going to have to go to capture, doesn't matter what kind of captures, any kind of capture. And the first most important thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to the team details. And you're going to have to set the respawn vehicle to the jet. You can either use the Hydra or the laser, whatever one you want to play with, whatever one you want to use. You want to set the respawn vehicle to that vehicle. Now you got to make sure that you set it to that vehicle, because if you set it to something else, you have to make a whole new capture just to go back to do it again. So the second thing you want to do, this one isn't like needed, it's not required, but I suggest doing it because it's going to make your life a whole lot easier if you do it when you can just kill yourself, is put on owned weapons and then just go to whatever weapon you want. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just putting it on sticky bomb anyways. That way you can kill yourself really fast, really easy without having to jump off something. The next thing you want to do is required, like you have to do this one, is you're going to want a bunch of BMXs. Now the BMX is where you're actually going to get the color from that you transfer over to your jet. So whatever color BMX, whatever color jet you want is what color BMX you want to put down. I usually just put down a bunch of different random ones, that way I get all sorts of colors. But if you want to be very sure that you get a certain color, make sure you go through the colors and select that one and put it down. Now, beyond the setup that I just showed you now, as for props, location, what kind of capture you're going to make this, what you're going to use it for, that stuff doesn't matter. That's all up to you. I mean, you can build up a bunch of props, make it really arcadey, or you could set up all the spawns in the city so you can make a big jet death match. You know, you could put it at Whiskey River for dogfights, whatever you want to do with it, doesn't matter. Beyond the setup for doing the glitch is the only thing that matters. Where you put the medium X's doesn't matter. So the rest of the stuff is really up to you. You just got to make sure you follow that first setup perfectly and do it exactly the same as I did it in order to do it. So now that you're in your capture and you got it all set up, I'm using one of my captures. This one's actually going to be in the description below. What you want to do is whatever color jet you want to get, you want to go and find that BMX color. Now, the reason I told you guys that it's better to set your weapons to own instead of forced is that way you don't have to just try and jump and kill yourself. Because sometimes when you try to jump to your death, you fall off the bike and then you die. And what you really want to do here is you want to die while you're on the BMX. That way it transfers the color over to your respawn vehicle. So I got on the red BMX, I'm going to blow myself up. And because the respawn vehicle is set to the lasers, when I respawn in the laser, I'm going to have a red one. Now, the awesome thing about this is it's really easy to do, but the best part is you don't have to worry about crashing and losing this jet, you know, and losing a colored jet, because once you do the glitch inside the capture, you're not going to lose that color until you leave the capture. It doesn't matter how many times you die, you're just going to keep respawning and still have that color. The only way you get rid of the color is if you get on another colored BMX and kill yourself on that one to switch the colors. Now, as you can see, it doesn't look like it's painted on the top. It is. It's just not the same as the bottom. The bottom is a very solid color. It's very clear. I'm killing myself right now to show you guys that I'll respawn with jet still. But, you know, on the top, it's different. It's more of like a two-tone. It's got the primary color being the original color of the jet with a bit of a tint of the red. It works better with darker colors, we find. When you use a lighter color, it doesn't show up as much. I know a lot of you are probably thinking how cool it will be to get a black jet. I was thinking the same thing, but to be honest, the black doesn't actually show up too well. I mean, you can see right now on the top, you can see right there the tint. It does have a red tint to it. It shows up better in the sun. In the shade, you can't really see the color on the top too well. Really easy glitch to do. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's go into the questions. All right, so getting to the questions. The first most commonly asked question I see is people are always asking me, is there a difference for piloting between consoles? And yeah, there's obviously a difference between consoles. I mean, you know, from the last gen consoles and the next gen consoles and PC, there is a difference. The first difference obviously is lag. I mean, the older the console, the more lag there is. I don't know if there's like more or less between next gen and PC, what's better and what's worse. But I mean, you all know already, you know, going on last gen, I mean, especially if it's for like trick shotting or dogfighting, the lag is killer there. So yeah, there's definitely a big difference there. But also, you know, the controls, the physics, like its abilities, last gen and PC have like a major advantage. Like next gen, the jet was basically just nerfed and ruined badly. It's so much harder to do things on next gen because of it. Like, you know, your jet's underpowered, it doesn't have the same maneuverability, it's not capable to do a lot of things, so you have to find new ways to do things and, you know, really push yourself harder, and it makes it a little bit more frustrating. And to be honest, I miss stunting on last gen. I mean, I miss like things that I do on next gen. Whatever takes me 10 minutes to do on next gen only took me like 1 minute to do on last gen. You know, there's a big difference there, so it's definitely frustrating. People always ask me to, like, you know, why don't you go back to last gen? And obviously, you know, I can't stand the lag. I don't like the quality, and I love our editor. And then other people have asked me, you know, why don't you go to PC? I mean, you'll spend less time working on your stunts, you'll get them done faster, it'll be easier, you'll stress less. And that's a good argument, but to be honest, I'm just one of those people that I'd rather be where it's more difficult. Like, I wouldn't want to go to PC and hit a stunt and have someone in the comment section being like, oh, why didn't you do it on next gen? Why did you go to PC to do it? Weren't good enough to do it on next gen? You know, I would hate to see comments like that. You know, I already see people all the time, you know, for not even just plane stunting, like most stunting categories. I don't know about BMX, but I know like moto and plane, like people are always like ripping it apart. Like, doesn't matter what someone does on PC, people are just dissing on it. Like, oh, you know, it's cool and all, but you had to do it on PC. It was easier for you. I'm not impressed. And I would just be pissed off if I was doing stunts on PC and then I saw people dissing on my stunting because I did it on PC. Like, yeah, you know, it's harder on next gen. You know, it still doesn't mean it's not dope. If you do it on PC, a stunt can still be dope, but people will rip on it just because it was easier. And I'm the type of person that I just want to be where it's going to be most challenging. You know, it's like when I play a game, I want to play it on the most difficult setting. I don't want to play it on easy. I just want to challenge myself. You know, I would hate to be doing stunts and then see someone on a more difficult console doing the exact same stunts, knowing that it was harder for them, so they're required to have more skill to do the same things that I'm doing. So I'm just one of those people that want to be where things are going to be most difficult. The next thing people ask me a lot is they always ask about the settings. Now, the settings don't really change too much, to be honest. I mean, you always want to have your look around sensitivity all the way up. If you're stunting or in open lobbies, I personally like to have my camera set to the second, third person. For dogfighting, I know the dogfighters like to have their camera set to the third person at the farthest point. And when it comes to the camera height, I mean, for dogfighting it differs, but when it comes to me, when I'm stunting, I always have to have it on the low camera height. And then when I'm in open lobbies, I like to have it on the high camera height. The settings don't really matter too much though. It's really whatever you're comfortable with. A lot of people ask this. It's a really weird question. I guess they're assuming it's similar to like the shooter category where you can adjust your settings in a whole bunch of different ways. Either way, just play around with it, see what you're most comfortable with. Alright, the next thing I get asked a lot is a lot of people ask me to, like, how do you come up with your stunts? I mean, you know, all the locations have been used. How do you come up with things? How do you keep thinking of new things to do? And to be honest, like, I'll get into like my process for like designing stunts in a minute. When people say like, you know, every location's been used, to be honest, every location was used for pilot stunting in like the first 3 months, or probably even sooner than that. So you shouldn't worry about locations. Like that whole, you know, you use the same location thing is the dumbest statement I've ever seen. I mean, imagine you went to X Games and somebody comes out, they hit a ramp, do a stunt, and then right after someone else comes out, hits the ramp, does a stunt, and everyone was like, oh, it was cool and all, but you used the same ramp. Like, what? No. Like, the location is not the thing. The location's not the problem. It's what you do with that location, what you do with that item. You know, it's not that whole location thing is the dumbest comment I've ever seen. I see a lot of people, it's mostly moto stunters to be honest, who will talk about location. You know, you gotta use a new spot, that spot's been used, you know, stuff like that. But like, to be honest, like, I'd so much rather reuse a location that I already used and do something completely different with it, bigger, harder, more complex, rather than be that person who's just going around and doing the exact same thing in a bunch of different locations. Like, oh, I hit a bump, landed on a building, went over here, hit a bump, landed on a building, then I went over here, hit a bump, guess what? Landed on a building. You know, I'd so much rather be the guy who's doing something new, more complex, more creative with the same spot and focusing on what I'm doing with that location instead of where I'm doing it. As far as stunting and like how I create my stunts goes, to be honest, a lot of the stunts I create, I don't even think of it when I'm playing the game. I'm actually like outside the game. I'm maybe like making breakfast or something, and I'll just think of something really cool and I'll be like, that would be dope. And then I go in the game and I try it, and not everything I like planned out like originally is like doable, so I'll alter it a little bit, and then what I'll do is I'll look and see how can I make this better, and that's usually how most of my stunts are designed. I was thinking a little while back if I should make another pilot school episode of how, like, me designing a stunt, like if I should get on the game and just design an entirely new stunt and record the full process and talk while I'm doing it. I don't know if you guys would be into that. If you are, you know, comment below, let me know what you guys think about that if you want me to do it. But what I really like to do is I'll go to a location, any location, it doesn't matter, and just originally do something, anything, the first thing I think of, and do it. And then I'll look around and be like, what can I add to this? And then I'll just keep on adding things. And I usually have like a set idea for like the time and the range. Like, okay, I only want to use this much area, or I only want it to be so long. And then I stay within those guidelines, and then I just keep thinking, what can I add to it? And I just keep adding everything I can to it until there's nothing left to add to it. Even though I landed it, it was dope, I'm like, is there something else I can add to this that will make it better? And if there is, then I add it, and I keep doing it until I do it with that added part. And then after I've done that, I look at the stunt and I'm like, what can I do that will make this more difficult? Can I add some rolls in? Can I add some switches in? What can I do that will improve this? Could I just drop it into reverse there, flip it over, go forwards here? Can I remove a wing? You know, I always look at everything else I can do to it, and then when there's nothing left that I can do to it, then I practice it a few times, run it, hit it 5 times, then I'll record it. And people hear me say that a lot. They hear me talk about, you know, hitting a stunt multiple times, getting it down to like being able to do it on command before you record it. And they're like, that sounds terrible. You know, I don't want to do that. I just want to hit it once, get the video. But that's the difference between stunters and content creators, is the stunter's there to stunt. You know, you don't give a shit about the YouTube. You want to do the stunt. You want to get good at the stunt. You're not just doing it for YouTube. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, that sounds terrible. And to be honest, that's the reason why so many people just keep doing the same stuff. Like, they haven't like gone past like their original style, their original like quality of stunting, is because they don't master the things that they've already done. And if you don't master the stuff you've already done, how are you supposed to do better things? You know, you got to master something before you can go to the next level. And to be honest, I know it sounds terrible, but I mean, if you just sit there and work on a stunt and, you know, work on ways to make it better and better and keep on hitting it, you're just practicing. And by practicing, you're improving your skill, and then you're going to get better. And then you'll be able to think of more creative things more often, and then you'll go and hit them, and it'll take you less time because you've got a lot better at it, rather than focusing all your time on running around looking for a bunch of different locations to do the same thing that you did everywhere else on the map. Alright, so that's all the questions I'm going to answer. I get a bunch of questions, but the rest of them are all kind of different. These are just 3 that I'm constantly being asked, so I wanted to put them in a video. That way people could just watch this and stop asking about them so much. All the other questions I'm going to try and answer in comments when I see them pop up. I'm going to do my best wherever I see them on Skype, Kick, Social Club, you know, here on YouTube. If I see them, I'm going to try and answer all of them as best as I can. You know, so feel free to ask anything you want. I'm always here to help. The next episode of Pilot School probably won't be out for a couple of weeks. It requires another one of the Nova members to come and work on it with me. They need to get the footage. They need to write the script and tell me what I'm going to say, and then I'm going to say it. They're really busy with school right now, so, you know, school comes first, obviously. Once they get that done, they'll be able to work on it and get it done. Hope you guys don't mind waiting. Feel free to leave some feedback in the comment section below. You know, let me know what you think about me making other tutorials, and if there's anything else you want me to go over and make a tutorial on, and what you guys think about me doing a live stunt creation, not a live stunt creation, but just a stunt creation tutorial for you guys. Let me know what you think about that. Other than that, this is Mario out.